Good morning, everyone. If you haven't met me, of course, my name is Don Lott. I'm the support manager here at TopBuilder. So, as Dave mentioned, if you have questions as you start going through the system, they inevitably will come up. Of course, you can use me as a great resource. I'm always here for you. I want to make sure you know how to use the system, that everything makes sense. And, of course, I'm going to show you kind of the easiest ways and most efficient ways to find answers within TopBuilder solutions. So I've got my nice little getting started screen here. I do have an agenda. We'll just kind of switch past that, I promise. We're going to do most of this inside TopBuilder. I like to show you how everything works. And of course, as we go through this, I do highly encourage, I know that a lot of you are muted right now or have got your audio off. Look, as I'm going through this, if you need me to slow down, if you need me to rewind, go over something again, just speak up. I'm happy to do so. If you don't want to speak up, there's even a way you can shoot a chat message across just to kind of stop me and let me know that you need me to re-explain something. I'm happy to do so. Sometimes in training, brevity is not a strength, so we want to make sure that you guys understand everything. So definitely let me know if I need to explain something in a little more in depth. We are looking at my favorite slide. It's near and dear to my heart. This is how training and support works. So basically, this is the easiest way to find answers within TopBuilder solutions. You will notice option 1 always is your online help center. This is my favorite little guy because this is available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's right inside of TopBuilder, and it's something that is constantly growing and changing. So just very quickly, just so you can see where it is, I just want to show you. I am going to switch my screen to TopBuilder, and you will notice we have a little help center here in the nav bar. If I click on that, it comes up in a separate window, which is beautiful because I can still work in TopBuilder, and I can come over here and get the help I need. And you'll notice that a whole slew of topics popped up. So we've got some pretty broad ones like creating and monitoring email campaigns. That's a big one. Or if you look at some of these are a little more targeted and specific. My favorite one, resizing an image. All right, if I've got a nice PDF, and I need to put that inside of an email marketing piece, I want to make sure it looks just as good on the customer's end as it does on mine. So I want to make sure I resize that image to fit that template. So that's a fantastic little quick training that will teach you how to do that with tools that are already available on your machine. So just know this is always out there for you. It's always growing and changing. There's a lot of great stuff in here, and Dave mentioned earlier, if you ever need a refresher on this this getting started course, because it's usually pretty much the same thing every round, you can just come into this little training section, and I have sort of different ones recorded. This is the base one, admin tools and email marketing and newsletter. So that'll kind of help you get some base information on it should you need that. So this is always out there, always available for you. And as Dave also mentioned, we are recording this, and if you would like to go back over this recording, we'll actually have it in here so that you can just filter it by items for your company, and that'll come up, and of course only you guys can see that. So Help Center, always available, always in TopBuilder, always option 1, of course. So sometimes we may point you that direction because there's a fantastic little guide in there that would be easier to show you than recreate in an email. So always out there, and of course, we train 5 days a week. So you're going to get the benefit of my level 1 workshop right now. Just know that that's always still available for you if you want to go back over it. It's great because, of course, you can ask questions, and you've got me there to answer them. So level 1s are always out there and available for you. Level 2, one of my favorites, because at level 2 I don't have slides, I don't really have an agenda. You just come in and tell me what it is that I need to help you make sense of in TopBuilder Solutions, and we'll do it. So we can get in there and really get in the weeds. We can get into the more advanced features that maybe we don't have time for on a level 1. So just know that's always out there for you as well. Those are twice a week and completely open Q&A. Now we do, of course, have a direct connect. If you need to get a hold of us directly, support@topbuildersolutions.com. Best email you'll ever have. Take note of that. Put that somewhere. Save it. If you ever need us, of course, you send an email to that. You can always know that myself, Mr. Dave Knowles, and all of our support minions check that box on a regular basis. So we are out there for you on that. Now, if you do want to get on the phone with us, give us a phone call. Absolutely, you can do that. We do have an 855 toll-free. If you hit option 2, it comes to support. If you are like me and you like the path of least resistance, this 832 number here does the same exact thing. It comes directly to support, and 9 times out of 10 it rings directly to me. So if you need to get me, that's a great way to do it. And then, of course, Mr. Dave Knowles on the phone here. If you need something from him, maybe it's something a little more advanced or out of my wheelhouse, just know he does make himself available to you. So this is easiest way to get answers. So I don't like to use too many slides. I like to actually show you what's going on in TopBuilder. So I'm going to switch over here. Perfect. So we should have our screen. And of course, if at any point in this I mentioned, if you need me to stop, slow down, go back, if you can't read something well and you need me to explain it, absolutely I will. So what we're looking at here, of course, is our dashboard. First thing we always see when we log in. Now, you guys have been using this system for a while, but it sounds like we kind of need to take this almost like it's from the beginning again. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the very first piece of housekeeping you need to do as a new user. And so if you haven't done this yet, absolutely do this. It's kind of the foundational step to using the system. Come up here to the setup and click on My Profile. And everybody has a profile in the system. This is your personal profile. Take a look at it, of course. Make sure there's no typos. Those do happen. Put in your mobile phone number and your carrier if you'd like to have some text messaging alerts, so we can text your phone rather than emailing you. And what I mean by those alerts is if we look down here, we see that TopBuilder, of course, has ways to tell us work needs to be done. And it's to our benefit if we set up some sort of alert system to tell us when that has to happen. So we can come in here and say, you know, I want an email when a task pops up for me. And if I'm not doing that task, maybe I want it to blow my phone up with a text message. So I can do that too. And of course, I can even have it create a calendar appointment right here inside of TopBuilder Solutions. So there's a couple of different ways that system can tell me that I need to be alerted. If I handled a newsletter for the company, I'll want to set these up, of course. You know, maybe I send out a letter or a phone call, something like that, on a birthday and anniversary for a customer or a contact. I can set up that alert as well. And then my website tracking alerts. And we'll take a look at that when we get into the lead. That was exciting. So we'll set up all of our alerts. That basically just gets us notified when things happen inside the system. We're going to change our password. If you haven't done this already, chances are you still have the default password we gave you. That's not a problem. It's just that everybody has that password. So come in, hit change password. Put something in there that makes sense to you, that you can remember. We don't make you put in 10 characters with 3 special ones and an exclamation point at the end. You can just put whatever you want. So go ahead and change that. And then last but not least, come in and put your email signature in. So you notice when I click this little guy, I come up. This is my email signature in Outlook. I just took it and sort of copied and pasted it here and then resized my logo and inserted it with this little insert image button. So I popped that right in there, and I've got my email signature inside TopBuilder. And I apologize if I clear my throat a few times, guys. It's allergy season in Houston. So I've got my email signature in here. And I do want to make sure that this email signature looks just like it does in Outlook or Yahoo or Gmail or whatever it is I use outside of TopBuilder for my email system. I want some sort of continuity between the two. This is kind of the very first step of what we call email integration. That's an exciting feature. Basically, it takes every email conversation between you and your customer that's in TopBuilder and saves it in their history, even the replies. So it's a very cool little system, and we want to make sure you use it, of course, because it's powerful. So we'll set up our email signatures. And, of course, if you do have them in HTML, you can always click this tab and just insert HTML. You see I've done that many times. Now, once I've got it in here and it looks perfect, I hit save. I always hit save because if there's a save button, chances are it's an important one. So I'll save one more time. My profile is complete. So if you haven't done this before, go ahead, pop in, complete it. It's a one-time thing. Once that piece of housekeeping is done, it is out of the way. So we'll pop back into my dashboard here. Now, of course, everything we see on a dashboard is lead-centric, right? TopBuilder Solutions is an ROI system. We're using this thing to make money. So everything we see on here is money-centric. We've got our leads. We've got our tasks that associate with those leads that kind of keep us on track, make sure we're working them to the fullest. We've got all our nice analytics here, revenue expectations. My favorite little guy, who I have unofficially named the what needs to be done box. And you'll notice here there are just 2 lines in this, but these 2 lines are powerful. This line here tells me that I have leads without a next step. What that tells me is I've left money on the table. There are 3 leads out there that if I do not remember to pull them up and work them, they're going to fall off the screen. Right? I'll work a dozen other leads before I work this. Someone else will sell it. It's money I've left on the table. So I want to make sure that every lead I have has some sort of next step that just reminds me, hey, pull this thing up and do something with it, right? Don't let it languish. And if I'm asking myself, which of these leads over here doesn't have a next step? Well, it's super easy just to click this little line, because we love hyperlinks, and it pulls them all up. So I see that Mr. Bond at 007 Grogan's Mill, Major Industries, and my redheaded stepchild, Web Lead, all need next steps. So I can go ahead and assign those now, or I can go into each one. So I want to make sure next steps are assigned. Those are follow-up plans. You can also just put a single task on there just to remind me to make a call maybe. So I'm going to pop back to my dashboard. The other line that we saw in this box, this is a daunting one because in my demo system I've let all of my tasks go and I have 76 past due tasks. And I can see those in big glorious red down here. And of course, if I really want to make my day bad, I can go ahead and expand this and I can see all of them at once. So there they all are. So I have a lot of tasks I need to complete. Now keep in mind, if this number isn't 0, then it's money we've left on the table, but it's the same thing here. If I'm not working my tasks, I'm not working my leads. So it doesn't matter if this number's 0 if this one's not. So basically what this box tells me is what needs to be done every day I log into TopBuilder Solutions. So this is an important little box. And then of course the TopBuilder calendar right here on the side, our little post-it note calendar. And if I have an alert set up to give me a calendar alert and something is due today, it will show up on my calendar. So pretty easy on that one. Now, of course, we are a CRM system, customer relationship management, so mostly leads, contact management, how to work those to the fullest, and then, of course, the marketing that's built into it, how to keep in front of those people at all times. Now, our CRM, let me break it down for you because it is 4 components. Of course, we have our leads, our contacts, tasks, and accounts. Leads and contacts really are 2 different things. I know they feel similar, but it is important to remember there is a difference between the 2. So, of course, when we think of a lead in the system, we are thinking of an opportunity to sell. Who are we trying to make money off of? So these are the people that we're out there actively working. Now, contacts can still be these people that we've already sold, right, our old customers. But 9 times out of 10, when you think of a contact in a CRM system, you're thinking of a professional. Who do I work with, not necessarily for, right? Who are my consultants, my real estate agents? Who are my subcontractors? So I'm going to put all these people in the system as contacts because, well, number one, I can keep in front of them with my newsletter. I might send them drip campaigns, that kind of thing. So it's handy to have them here. And of course, I can associate these people with leads as well. That's another important thing that we'll see when we get into the lead itself. So we want to make sure we get everyone in TopBuilder. Tasks, of course, we'll kind of throw some best practices out on how tasks work, how to move them around, how to reassign them, kind of near the end of this. So just know we'll talk about those for sure. And then accounts is pretty simple. So an account is just a way to group contacts. If I work with Keller Williams Realty and I have 30 people there that I work with, it's super easy to create a Keller Williams account, group those 30 contacts, and now if I have a email marketing campaign I need to send out that maybe has an inventory update on it, it's super easy to just select that account, and now I know I got in front of those 30 people. So that is an important way that you can use those accounts. So you want to group your contacts under there. So let's take a look at a lead, right? Let's get into a lead and really kind of go through it. And that's going to sort of go back to what's on this main screen here. So I know that these are my leads. Now there's a lot more to a lead than what we see here, but this is the at a glance. And that's important to remember because I'm going to throw out a best practice right now. And it has to do with this little guy, the short description. This is something I create. So this comes from me. Now this should be something that kind of gives me an at a glance who and what, a who and a where, right? I need to know who I'm working for when I look at this screen. And I mentioned earlier web lead, a red-headed stepchild. Well, that's because when I look at this, who am I working for, right? So this isn't a great short description because I really don't know who this is or where I'm working. I can see a few pieces of info, and I might even be able to click in history here, pull up their history and kind of go through this and figure out who this person is. But it would be much better if I just went ahead and had maybe a last name here. And you'll notice I like to standardize the last name first, because if I'm ever looking for the Mr. Abels here, but I don't want to look through this list, I can just click this header, filter it alphabetically, and there he is at the top. So I like to put that last name first, and then maybe a who or a where or a what right here, just so at a glance I know exactly what I'm doing. Now let's actually pull up a lead. If we come into the system and enter a new lead, this is the screen we see. Now this is the legwork version. Of course, if you have a Contact Us page on your website, you can have leads come in complete from that. We can do iPad and kiosk registration forms. So if you have a home show or something like that come through, it's really easy to pull that up on a mobile device. So fill it out and get a lead complete. And of course, we do BDX, new home source. So that's another way to pull in leads complete. Now, of course, there are no perfect circumstances all the time. So every once in a while, we do have to do it manually. So of course we see my lead short description is the very first thing up here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that we're working for Mr. Long. And in this case, we'll just say that it's a remodel. So I've given myself at least some sort of clue as to what I'm doing at a glance here. I don't need to know all of the details, so long as I remember who Mr. Long is. Now my lead type comes next. A lead type just basically tells us pretty much exactly what it is we're doing for that person. And keep in mind, my list is kind of big here. I've got a lot of stuff. Not everybody builds tree houses, of course, so that's probably not going to be in anyone's list. And this is, of course, a list I can edit. So you'll notice I'm an admin, so I have that access. I have list access. And when I look at these lists, I see this little guy right up here, edit list. So if I'm telling myself, we don't sell tree houses, it would be super easy to hit edit list. Here is that drop down, the full content of it, and I can come in and delete treehouse, so long as it's not being used already, which it is. So we're selling a treehouse to someone. Now I can also edit that, change the display order, or even add new ones. You know, so if my business expands and there's something new we started doing, right? Maybe we're doing build on your own lot. Well, I could add that in there now, and that becomes an option I can use. So just know that as a admin with list access, several of these drop-downs will have that option in there, so I can come in and really tailor these lists to the way that my business works. So I'm going to go ahead and select, in this case we're doing a remodel, so I'll say full house remodel. Now description is next. This one is pretty much whatever you want it to be, right? So if you have sort of a assessment of the quality of the business, or maybe you met this guy and you just want to put a description of him in here. Whatever you want to put in this field, it's fair game. So put whatever you need in there to help you with this lead. If you use communities, the next thing we see here is our community drop-down. So of course when I click this, I get all the communities I work within. This is a way that I can also set a security level. So basically what I'm saying here, if I click on Anglers Cove and Briar Grove, chances are I have separate salespeople associated with each of these communities. So when I set this, I'm setting a security level, and I'm telling the system only certain people have access to this lead now. Me, of course, because I own this lead, it's assigned to me, but anyone who's assigned to these as well. So basically I've just opened this lead up, and now other people can now work it and even sell it, right? Move it through the statuses and the priorities. So I can set that, that security level there, and then of course I can undo the whole shebang in one click by just clicking share this lead. So what that basically says is it doesn't matter what I've done here or here. Everyone sees this so long as they've got the show only my leads unchecked. So they'll see this lead in the system, and they could in fact work it. Now some people, especially larger companies, this puts far too many cooks in that kitchen, so we usually don't want to do that. In fact, this is default off. So I have set some level of security to this. I've restricted it to make sure that only maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 people could possibly access this thing at the most. Now the next thing we see is our status. This is our sales process. In fact, this should represent my sales process to a T. So if my first step is not online inquiry, but maybe we call it qualifying, well, that's exactly what I'd have in here. You notice some of these are actually listed for OSC. So if you have an OSC and they have specific roles or specific statuses that belong to them, we can also make it just listed out that way. That way they know which ones they use. Now, of course, a lot of people have a different sales process. I mentioned maybe we call them initial inquiries or qualifying. Maybe we go into a suspect phase before we go into prospecting. Whatever that case is, this list will make sense to your business because it's one you can change. And if I have a 15-step process for sales, well, I should have 15 steps in here, right? Because each step in my process probably has its own unique things that I have to do to move people through it. So I want to make sure that each step of my process is represented here in the statuses. So I'm going to say this is an online inquiry. It's initial. I haven't even really gotten a hold of the gentleman yet. And then, of course, my priority. My priority is the same on every single account out there. It always represents how ready they are to purchase. But, of course, there's 100 different lexicons on how this works. Some people call them hot and cold. Some people are A's and B's. Some people are 1s and 2s. Whatever that is, once again, this is a list that makes sense to your business. I'm going to go ahead and say it is a 0 to 3 month, right? It's a priority A. I'm optimistic. I want this thing to sell. So I'm going to go ahead and list it out as a good one there. Now these next two, these are very cool, right? So a contact method tells me how the person got a hold of me. And this can be important because they may have heard from me on my website, but they may not have gotten a hold of me through my website. They might have called me or emailed me, might have walked into a model. So I'm going to go ahead and select how they got a hold of me. And then I'm also going to say how they found me. And this is a great piece of analytic here because basically what this will tell me later on, I can pull up a report that will tell me where all my leads come from, conversion rates for each of those, and then I can even go back and maybe I find out that we do a home show every year that we haven't sold a lead from in 5 or 6 years. Well, it's an easy way to save some money now, right? I can cut that out of my life because I know that it's never been successful for me. So that is a great little piece of analytics there. And so you always want to select your source. Now, for the sake of argument, I'm going to click Realtor Agent. Now, the next thing you see is tags. This is something new. If you guys haven't been in the system recently, chances are you don't know what this is. So I'm going to go through this because this is a very cool feature. I love this. You'll notice when I clicked it, I had a drop-down box that's automatically come up with lots of stuff. Some of these are single words like AAA credit. We've got some multiple word like dog lover and cat lover. Right? We can do phrases, whatever it is. This is just a way that I can build a tag that is a searchable term, a searchable, filterable term. So, for instance, later on, if I would like to send out a new home inventory update to just the people I know that could actually afford the thing, well, it'd be really easy to go into email marketing and select AAA credit as my tag. And now anyone with AAA credit with this tag in there will get that email. So that is a fantastic way to create sort of a distribution list. This is also ways that I can separate things, right? If I'm trying to remember that this guy hates traffic, he doesn't really want to live downtown, maybe I need to move him out into the suburbs. That's a great way that I can sort of set up a searchable term for when I'm trying to sell that house that's a little further out. So I can come in here and I can select any of these. I can also create new ones, right? Maybe the guy would like to move out to Conroe, Lake Conroe. So I could click on that, and now I've just created a new term. Well, what's cool about that is now that becomes part of the dropdown. So later on, if I come back in here on a new lead and I want to use Conroe, that will already be in my dropdown. So earlier when that little list popped down, that just meant that's something we've used before. The handy thing about that, and of course the golden rule of CRM, search before you create, goes right back to this. Before I create a new tag, I should just check and see if someone's already used it, and then I can reuse it. The advantage to that is, as I mentioned earlier, typos do happen. So if I type in green with an A in the word green, well, I've just basically created a erroneous tag for everyone to use. So it'd be easier if I just came in and used the one that was already spelled correctly. So it's always a good idea. Scroll through your list, see what you've got in here. You know, maybe he's interested in the woodlands as well. I can put an unlimited number of these tags in here. So I can really make this lead work super hard for me on the marketing side now and later, just by applying some tags. So that's exciting. Very cool. And of course, we always want to make sure we save when we get these tags in here so that they stick. Now the top part is my lead. Right? If I've got everything entered in here, that's kind of gives me everything I need to work this. Now, who is associated with this lead? Who is my soon-to-be, hopefully, customer, right? So in this case, we're going to put Mr. Mark Long in here. Mark has some phone numbers. He has some email addresses. I'm going to put all that in there. Now, of course, I am going to search before I create, because if Mark Long has been a customer before, it's super easy to click these little 3 dots and basically get that person in there. Ooh, and I just saw a chat come across. Oh, there was a question. Sorry, just real quick to address this one. There was a question of, they said they were confused. Why you'd want to search for dog lovers or hate traffic. These are just examples. We just kind of type in all sorts of little silly things in here. You know, I want to say there was even foodie. That may mean nothing to the building industry. But we do work with a lot of different industries, so these tags can be very malleable. We can put whatever we want in here. So, yeah, I mean, true. You know, chances are you'll never have dog lover or hates traffic in yours, but you might have AAA credit, or you might have military if that's something.
Actually, can I interject for a second, Don? This is Leah. If you do have somebody, say, who's really looking for a dog-friendly community, maybe perhaps in the future a community opens up that has a dog park in it. So if you have somebody that has that tag in it and say they never purchased before, that's a marketing tag that can be searched so that, you know, you find all the dog lovers and then you let them know that a community is coming with a dog park or near a dog park. Same with foodies. Maybe you guys have condos that are being built in a brand new mixed use area that has a lot of great restaurants. So that's where those tags can really come in handy.
Exactly. Yeah, and sky's the limit on these. You use these tags how you need. That's the beautiful thing about it. You know, if you're just trying to remember a little quick thing about someone, it's easy to create a tag. Make that a searchable term. So just know these are powerful. And you can put whatever you want in there. We just have kind of a bunch of different examples. You know, boat dock. You know, if somebody tells me, look, I own a yacht, and I cannot purchase a house from you unless it's got a boat dock, or maybe a marina or a boat slip, whatever I call that. That would be handy to have, right? Because now I know that I can't sell this guy unless I've got a boat slip attached to that house, but as soon as I do have a house with a boat slip, if I can't remember who that guy was, it's super easy to search for this, or just search for the word yacht. And I know that I've got the right guy, so I can make a list to market to. So yeah, there's 100 ways to use this, and you'll think of new ways all the time, but this is a powerful little feature. So as you start using it, if you have questions on it, definitely reach out to us. Now, of course...
So the question is, are these tags for individuals, or does the entire company see them?
Yeah, these are,
I think that... Go ahead.
These are account-facing. So, you know, earlier, like I mentioned, that I don't really want erroneous spellings in here, because then everybody might be selling a boot dock instead of a boat dock. So it's good to make sure, number one, that we don't put a typo in, because everyone sees this list. But then the nice thing too is we don't have to recreate the wheel every time. If someone's already used AAA credit, I can just pull this up and use it again. Does that make sense? All right.
Yeah, it does. It definitely makes sense.
All right, and if anyone else has any questions on those tags, just speak up or shoot me a chat. I'm happy to talk about those. I love that little feature. Now, one thing I will point out, of course, when we put in all of our contact information, we automatically add this person to our newsletter. Unless this guy tells me, don't send me your newsletter, I'm going to put them on there. This is a great way to build an opt-out and opt-in and opt-out list. Right? This is free advertising. This just puts me in front of somebody every month, almost effortlessly. So I'm always going to keep them on my newsletter unless they tell me to. I'm going to let them opt out so that I can build that list. So this is a pretty good lead, right? I could go ahead and I could save it and close it, and I could work it, and I already have sort of a basic follow-up plan that'll apply to it, because this is my default. Now, I will tell you, of course, we always give you an Enter More Info button. I love the Enter More Info button because if I press it, I get an exploded view of my lead. I also get a whole slew of new options, tons of new options. So just my basic stuff, but I also now can put contract expectations, revenue expectations. Mr. Long, I can put more information about his address, who he's married to, his children, where he works. We saw that birthday and anniversary alert earlier. That's where that comes from. So I can put all of his background, his interests, right? I can put a bunch of information about Mr. Long in here that might help me market to him. Now I do have an agent tab. We know that an agent sent me this piece of business here. Now if that agent would like to be included in the email strings, if I want to make sure that I've included them in this sale, in this lead, then I can put my agent here. And of course, when I send marketing campaign emails, things like that, automated emails, they'll get CC'd on it. So that's a great way to keep them in the loop. Now, of course, excuse me, I also have a lead contacts. So this is a little bit different. I did have that agent that brought me that piece of business. I am going to add them to the agent tab because I want them to be in the loop. But I also want to add them here, right? I'm going to put them into my lead contacts because maybe I reward that agent on how much business they bring me. So it's really easy if I have them associated with a at the lead. Later on, I can go back to that guy's contact, that realtor, and I can actually see every lead they're associated with. I get a tally. So I can I know exactly how much business they brought me. Even years later, I can go back and see which business they brought me. That's important. So, of course, I'm going to associate an unlimited number, as many people as I need contacts with this. If they're already in my system, I'm not going to recreate the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and put them in. So that will get them in the system there. One other little cool thing, maybe in this case, Mr. Long's wife tells me I'd like to have your newsletter, so I go ahead and I add her as an additional contact. Well, let's just find one with the name here. Perfect. So I know that she's going to be on my newsletter because anytime I add a contact, they're already on there. But later on, Miss Jenny here also becomes the primary contact. She kind of takes over the process, and now she's the one that I'm supposed to be calling and taking care of. So instead of coming back to this primary contact screen and deleting a bunch of data and sort of recreating the wheel, honestly, I can just come over here, and with a single button click, I just made Jenny the primary. So you'll notice when I go back, there she is. All her information will filter in if I've put that information in there for her. So now she's my primary, and it's really easy to put Mark back in there should I need to. And the system will handle that for you. So that's something fairly new. Very cool, though. So I'm going to make sure I associate whoever I need to associate with this lead. That could be my subcontractors, my realtors, my consultants. Whoever those people are, I'm going to put them in here. Family members that want to be included, we're going to put them all in the system. That way I can always recall who the people were that were associated with this lead. Now, follow-up plan. This is a big one. Your follow-up plan is what generates all those tasks that we saw. So those 70-plus past dues I had on the main screen, I didn't put those in by hand. Those were generated by a follow-up plan. Now, you can also manage these follow-up plans automatically, right? These are automated so long as we're managing our statuses and our priorities. Let me show you what I mean by that. So what we're looking at right now is a new online inquiry plan. This just basically says, right as soon as they show some interest, they're going to get a welcome email, and then I'm going to get a set of tasks, right? I'm going to get some phone calls I need to make to find out if this is really ready to go, if we're ready to work this. So, of course, let's go ahead and click a few of these, and let's say that we've done them. So I've made that initial phone call. Mr. Long tells me that he is ready to work with me. Well, this is a new status. He's no longer just an online inquiry now. In my setup here, he has become a prospect. So I'm going to go ahead and move his status. Now keep an eye on that plan because it's about to change. And what it changed to is a prospecting plan. And not just any prospecting plan. This is my A prospecting plan. This is a aggressive prospecting plan because this will take me with all 23 steps from the very beginning where he gets another automated email that just basically lines him up to start working. And then I get all my tasks. This is aggressive because if I haven't closed this After all of these automated emails and phone call reach outs, 7.2 months later, he gets a sorry it didn't work out email. And of course, I get a task that tells me to go change my status to lead lost. So this just basically deactivates this, takes it out of the running, out of my active working. So that basically will turn that lead off. So that is sort of an aggressive plan, right? That keeps me in front of them constantly. Apologies. Now, maybe after we get into this a little bit, Mr. Long calls back, and for one reason or another, he says, I'm sorry. It's going to be 6 months before we can work together. Well, now I'm managing my priority. So I come over here, and I know he's not an A anymore, unfortunately. He's a B. Once again, keep an eye on that plan because I have a B plan. It's pretty easy. At 3 months, he gets an automated email at 5.8. I reach out with a phone call, and I find out if he's ready to go again. Because when he is, I'm going to scoot him back into an A, and I'm going to get back that aggressive plan. And I'm going to work that plan. I'm not going to let these things go past due. And keep in mind, this is an important thing to remember, especially if you're using our quick start, or if you're using a plan that's structured like this. Chances are your automated emails refer back to phone calls. So you want to make sure you make these phone calls because these emails will leave the system on time, dauntlessly. These emails will do their job whether I have or not. So I want to make sure I make these phone calls because if this email refers back to it, it might look bad in front of the customer. So definitely know that it is important, especially if you're using ours. Do you have a question, Lee?
Don, I have a question. With this system. So are these systems that are in here always set up to be automated like this, or is there a way to set them so they're manual so that the agents can actually review what's going on so it isn't a set it and forget it sort of process? Because they're going to want to be able to edit their own emails and put their own personal touch on it. And if they're choosing something like this that goes out automated, I can see a recipe for problems with that.
Yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about a follow-up plan. Really, these follow-up plans are what you need them to be. So when we look at this, this is a pre-built plan that we make that does have some automation in it, but it's just as easy if I'm an admin that's using this plan, I can go and turn this from an automated email to a manual one, where instead of the system sending it out for me, now I have to pull up an email, maybe copy and paste in some boilerplate verbiage, and then kind of change a few things myself. So,
because I'd like to take a poll of all the agents listening right now, and also the managers at Craftmark. Wouldn't you prefer all of these be manual, i.e. you get a task notification, but it's up to you to actually make sure it goes out versus something going through the system like this? Other than a newsletter that would be automated, but these emails to take out the automation.
Leah, everybody here in our conference room agrees that with your route, a little bit more personalized and not automated. So, and I think we all agree as managers too.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Dave, I'm going to jump in real quick. Yeah, that is perfectly fine, and a lot of our customers use it that way. But I also want to draw your attention to, and Dawn, if you're going to cover this, just let me know, but draw your attention to that content center where we can store documents and emails and template emails and example thank you letters and all kinds of content that you can push out to your prospects in that content center. And that way you don't have to reinvent the wheel. If you do get a reminder to say, hey, send this email out or do this thing, you may have writer's block or your creative, process is not clicking that day. You can just use those examples. And instead of having to type them up again, of course, they've been spell checked.
Oh, and I perfectly agree with that. Having your pre-created content in your content center is a must for sure for the agents, and they can do that. It's just my concern is assigning a lead to a task like this and the agent expecting everything to go out automated and never kind of rechecks exactly what emails being attached to that. And it's just a set it and forget it mentality that I just find very it's not effective in really
It's a little
gauging where your
unsettling,
your
yeah,
prospect is.
to think that all those things are going to fly out without your control. But I'll also draw your attention on the screen, Don. You see where it has content item on the column there on these tasks. You can attach these content items to a task and then just call them up. And it's not going to go out automatically, but you have the content available, and you just click on it and say, oh, here's an example of an email to send out right after an on-site visit, or 30 days after an on-site visit, or whatever. The options are unlimited, and it can be a Word document, it could be a PDF, it could be whatever. It could even be HTML that you cut and paste right into an email. You can put that in the Content Center, and it's available and categorized by community or even for a particular agent. So I'm sorry, I don't want to go on too much here, but that is a really, really important feature of the software that people forget about. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll shut up now.
But yeah, he's right, and we're actually creating a video that you guys can go out to the Help Center and watch for that Content Center that'll help you create those content pieces and get them tied into these plans. So yeah, if you don't want to automate, that's totally up to you. That's the beautiful part about these plans. They operate how you need them to operate. So if you don't want the automation side of things, you can make it all manual, and these things just all pop up as tasks on the dashboard for that person to go out, and they'll have a task that'll tell them to pull up that content piece and edit whatever they need to edit in it. So yeah, you absolutely can.
Perfect.
Like I said, you can make these whatever they need to be for you. The ones that we use for our examples, of course, these are the ones we pre-built, and they do have a high level of automation in them, but that is a personal preference, of course, and even these can fully be edited. But yeah, so we always want to make sure we are managing statuses and priorities, and then we're basically automating our tasks, so long as we've got plans tied to those statuses. And these can even go beyond just the cell. In this case, after I have closed this job, I can even have a plan that pops in and goes out and starts sending VIP referral emails, 1-year warranty reminders. So TopBuilder, this is a part where automation actually can come in and work great for you, kind of after you've already completed that cell and you've moved on to the next thing. It's easy now to have this thing reach out to them automatically and say, hey, your 1-year warranty is coming up.
Oh, I agree. I think this is a great place for automation. I think this is a wonderful spot for automation.
Yeah, so what's beautiful then, is you're not using sales time now to work customers you've already made the money on. Now TopBuilder's working for you in the background and doing it all for you, taking that legwork away. So definitely a powerful thing. And you can, I tell people when you create these plans, go out and maybe get an Excel or Word and just plot out your sales process and figure out what parts you do want to automate and what parts you don't. And that way it helps you build these things, and you have sort of a script that you can run through as you create them. And of course, if you need help with that, reach out to me.
And Don, can we take a look at, because obviously you guys preload some plans for us, can we take a look at the way your plans are preloaded and then say, okay, this, and this can stay automated, just like Heather's, commenting that she wants some that are automated and some that are personal, which completely makes sense, Heather, and I just want to acknowledge I'm reading all the comments there. That we decide, okay, we're looking at the TopBuilder Solutions plan, this, and this we'd like to keep automated, this, and this we want to make sure it's manual so that our agents check it before it gets sent and adds whatever content they need, or says, okay, it's good to go and just hit send.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to be able to edit those, very quickly, I'm going to switch my screen because I'm actually in your account on this screen. If you ever want to see those plans, edit them, change them, do whatever you need to them, they're under the setup. These are the plans themselves, the follow-up plans, and these are all of the automated emails that are attached to those plans. But you can do almost all your work right here in the follow-up plan screen. And you will see that it pops up with all the plans. Oh, and you know what? Let me make the screen a little bigger. I apologize. This was a different one, browser. So you should see all the quick starts here. So this is what we're looking at in the demo system. In fact, the one that I had pulled up is this guy right here, the BDX plan. So you'll see that this is what we were looking at. And what's great is, when you're in this screen, these are all of the tasks associated with that plan. Well, if I have an automated email here that I'd rather not be automated, I can just hit Edit. Here it comes, and then there's that task type, right? So I can just come in and maybe say, needs to be an email sent, just to remind them they need to send an email out, right? Or I can even say call an email if I give them the option. So it doesn't have to be automated. I can change anything I want about that. I can also check out the email. So if I'm asking myself, what is this automated email? Is it something I'd want to send out? If I just click the name of that automated email there and hit the content, I can actually see what's inside of that email. And in this case, this is just a basic one, right? Now,
so we can still put in that column emails that are attached to that task, so that makes it easy for the agent. So that email that they can link to like that in the content center, so that they can go to it even though it's not automated, correct?
Correct, yeah, and the content center is a little bit different. So these are the automated emails that go out without you doing anything. So this is that automation piece that's within it that we see for those tags. But yes, you're right, you can also, within each of those, and I'll go right back to the follow-up plans, so I can come into that task, and here's that thing Dave was talking about, that content item. So instead of creating that automated email for this particular task, I'm going to create a content item. So I can come in here and add a new piece of content to this screen. And then now I've got it associated with this task rather than some automated email that goes out without me doing anything. Does that make sense?
And where would I see that content piece? Would that be in that, where is that then, so that I could review it if I needed to?
Well, so once I've got it attached, I'll actually, just like these automated emails, I'll have a content piece hyperlinked here that I can go straight.
Okay. I see that content column. Perfect. Okay.
And then, of course, you actually create those things in that content center. And this is something that we can help you with. So it's fairly new, and we'll kind of help you get lined out and get category names and things in there like that.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And so let me go ahead. Let me switch back to this. But yeah, as you guys start working with the follow-up plans, definitely reach out to us. If you need a targeted training, if you need some time to talk about how those work, how to edit them, we're here to help. So we'll definitely help you make sense of those things. But just know, of course, so long as I am managing my statuses and my priorities, I am managing my tasks and my follow-up plans. So I'm going to switch back to a prospecting plan just so this thing stays on my main screen when I save it. So there's my follow-up plan, and I'm going to just click a few things done here so we get them to filter into history. One quick note, because you were asking about these automated emails. If you decide to create a follow-up plan with automation in it, and you make it almost sort of an optional thing, you can have that piece of automation out there and say, look, if this automation doesn't make sense to this lead, you could delete it. So I always like to point that out because I've had the question before. If I've got a task inside of a follow-up plan, and I don't want to do that task or it doesn't apply to this, how do I get rid of it? And it's a great question because, you don't just want to come over here and click Done. Because what I basically told the system when I click Done is, well, number one, I completed it, so it's going to log in history. If I didn't do it, it's an erroneous piece of history now. But more importantly, what I just did when I clicked the Done box on that automated email was I told TopBuilder, I realize this isn't supposed to go out till January, but go ahead and send it now. And that's exactly what I just did. I just sent that whether I wanted to or not. So if I'm telling myself this is a task I'm not going to complete or it doesn't make sense to this lead, there is only one real way to get rid of this thing without messing up your history or automatically sending an email. So if I want to get rid of this automated email, if I click on the subject, you'll see I get that task pop up here, and I have a nice little delete button here. That's all it takes. That got rid of that task out of my follow-up plan, but more importantly, it didn't send it and didn't log it in history. So now I don't have an erroneous piece of history out there. So that's an important one to remember. It's a simple thing, but it does come up. So keep in mind, if I have a pre-built plan and there's a piece of it that doesn't make sense, I want to delete that task rather than just clicking done. Because done basically says that we've done it. It is in there, and it will be in there forever now, right here in your history tab. And of course, this tab keeps track of everything we've done for the customer from the very beginning, every email we've sent, every task we've completed. More importantly, every time the customer reads that email, it tells me when they've read it. And because of email integration, when they hit reply and they reply back to me, I will also save their reply right here in the history. And I do have a lead I've done this with. I'll show you kind of near the end here. I'll pull it up so you can actually see what that looks like. But that's what email integration is. TopBuilder works in the background for me, saving my email conversations. So I can just go back to this lead 3 years later, and I can see the conversations we had, right? And when we had them. So history is important. And, you know, if I make a phone call, it's Mr. Long, and I'd like to log the details of what we talked about, history is the best place to do it. I can come over here and I can add a piece of history. So I can type all my notes, give it an activity type, set a time, so I can even backdate it if I need to, and then hit save. And of course, I will save a new piece of history that I can always come back and reference. So that is important. History is great.
Can I just interject on that one as well with the agents? When you're making phone calls especially, it's so important to create a history box so you can record the details of your conversation with them, because there's nothing worse than making several phone calls and then a week later trying to remember what was said. So that's a great place for your notes, isn't it, in the history?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So.
And I'll show you another little best practice around some notes that have to do with tasks here once we go through the tasks, how we use it here at TopBuilder. So I'll show you that as well. But yeah, always create history. You know, really there's a million reasons to use history, but anything that you want to remember or keep with this lead, go ahead and enter it. It only takes a few seconds and it's there forever. So yeah, great best practice. You know, anytime you are about to make a phone call to a customer, pop into their lead, pull up a history box, and just start typing your notes. And that way you can hit save when you're done and you know it's in there forever. So history is a great one. Just know you can also filter. So if I have a long storied history in here that's 24 pages long and I really need to find a specific thing, for instance, if I had a task buried in all these automated emails, it'd be super easy to just come over here and hit task, and there's my task. I took out all the extra stuff and filtered it down. If I'm looking for just my phone calls, well, I can do that too. I can filter by phone calls and just find those. So that's a very powerful little search feature within there. And of course, if I just want to show my email conversations, the back and forth, I can filter those by those too. Now, we haven't had any back and forth with this guy yet, so that doesn't show anything. So history, very important, very powerful. Use it, absolutely. We see customer preferences. Perhaps Mr. Long gave us a list of things he needs, that boat dock, but he also needs the house to be a certain size, so many bedrooms, needs that area golf course. He's told us all of those things. We might as well go ahead and keep those somewhere so we make sure that we get him what he's looking for. So there's a lot of ways we can put all that detail in there. Job site target priority is kind of similar, right? Transitions into this. If we know something about the job site, maybe he owns that lot. Maybe I have a specific inventory I'm trying to sell him. Whatever the case may be, I'm going to put it here. Now, if you've logged into the TopBuilder recently and you're looking at this screen and you tell yourself, I don't see some of these options in my system. Well, there's a reason for that. Some of these options you're looking at here are what we call user-defined fields. Just know, if there's a piece of information you capture and it's not in TopBuilder, let us know. We will help you capture it. So if I need to capture my model and elevations, I can have a nice drop-down box with all of those pre-filled in there. Maybe I have a yes or no question. If I've got a web registration form on my iPad, and somebody walks into a home show and I take 4 or 5 quick questions, I can have those filter in here if that's not something that we normally capture. So we can go ahead and select all of these. Right? So we've got a lot of different options. Is there a question? Okay. So yeah, just note, we can always put in custom fields. You just got to give us sort of some parameters as to what you need to see in there and how it needs to be laid out. So yeah, job site target priority, definitely use that. We've got the documents and photos. Pretty much exactly what it sounds like if I have a set of plans or a contract. You know, maybe my subcontractor ran over the curb and broke it, and for insurance purposes, I need that photo. There's a lot of reasons I might attach stuff. I'm going to go ahead and attach it here and keep it. So that's a great way to use this. Notes, completely internal, account facing only. So whatever I put in here, I know that only the people who have access to this will be able to see it. So notes, pretty simple. Website activity, this is a new one if you haven't logged in recently. This is very cool. Just know that website activity is a service we offer on the side that goes hand in hand with our CRM. And what this is, what you're looking at, is this particular customer visiting websites, right? So, and in this case, it's using my IP address, of course. So we see when the person visits our website, which links they click on, so which pages they go to, when they come, what dates they're in there. We can even have it send us tracking alerts when that person comes back. And what's cool about that is, you know, if Mr. Long goes on my website and every day he clicks on the same model or the same community, well, it logs it in here. And what's nice is now when Mr. Long calls me, you know what I'm talking about first. I'm talking about that model he's clicked on 6 times because I know he's interested in it. This is powerful. So very cool. If you have questions on this, if you are interested in this, reach out to us. We give you a big blue button that will get you some info on it. So this is new and it is powerful. Very cool. So website tracking. Now, of course, once we have got through all of these tabs and all of this information is in here, we've probably spent a few extra minutes on it. But, of course, the more information we put into a lead, the harder it works for us. This is true of any databasing system. The more information we put in, the more we get out of it. So I'm going to put anything I can in here that I know about, and I'm going to hit save and return. And, of course, it's going to take me back to my leads. So I'm going to jump back to my dashboard. So now he is on here, of course, Mr. Long. I can go and click on his history now, and I can see everything that we've done for Mr. Long. So that's how we create that lead. Very quickly, I want to jump into a lead and just show you that email integration. I promised you I would. Mr. White at Major Industries. So this is one of these guys that has the major storied sort of history here. It is 24 pages long. But the most important page is this one. So let me show you this. The very first thing I ever sent to Mr. Bob White was this. Bob, here's the proposal I promised you. So it logged the email I sent out of the system because I used TopBuilder as my jump-off point. So I've got this in there. Now, Mr. White is quick on the trigger.
Hey, Don, sorry to interrupt real quick. We just lost our projector over here for a second. Can you just hang tight for a second?
Yeah, just let me know.
Sorry. Someone pulled the plug over here.
It happens.
Hey, Don, just to ask you real quick, and if Dave's still on the line too, we can be integrated with Outlook, correct? With all the email correspondence.
Yeah, and actually, I'll show you how. You can even use either TopBuilder or Outlook to integrate this, to do this email integration. So you don't have to do it inside TopBuilder. I'll give you guys an email address you can use that you can put in, and it'll help you guys use it external to TopBuilder as well. So yeah, you don't have to use it inside.
And guys, Nick, yeah, of course I'm still here, but there's a good video on that in the Help Center as well. It's called Email Integration. Yeah, the video is a good one because it explains how it works. It's not too complicated, but you know, if you don't know, you don't know. So
True.
And one of the things with lead integration, this is for the agents, is that it will capture your emails back and forth into the history. So if you're emailing through Outlook and it'll capture it and pull it into the history. But you're still going to need to go into TopBuilder and mark the task as completed so that, you know, you don't end up getting a buildup of tasks. You may know you made the phone call and the email and all of that, and you haven't logged into TopBuilder. And of course, as long as integration is set up, all the Outlook stuff is recording in history, but your leads don't automatically get checked off as done unless you do it. Am I correct there? So just make sure you're not letting because your dashboard can become daunting if you have been doing everything you need to do, but you're not checking your tasks off.
Very true.
Leah, that's an excellent point. She's spot on. Yeah, you can't ignore you've got to use the system to keep up with what's been done and what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
We're back online whenever you want to get back on track. Okay. I'm sorry for the interruption.
No worries. All right, so everybody should still see my screen then. Kind of what I was going with that next there was we can see that he read my email. So we know when they read our emails. But more importantly, when Mr. Bob White hit reply and replied to me, of course, he replied to my Outlook. So that's where we had this conversation. But he said, thanks, here's the signed version. Looking forward to working with you. So his the actual wording of his email saved here in the history. So let me show you how I did that, how that works. And there's a couple of ways to make this happen. The easy way, the way that I love, and you'll notice here the reason why Bob White has such a huge history is because everything we send comes to me. But here is his email address. And I have this little handy blue envelope to the side of it. If I click that blue envelope, that is an email. That's a normal email out. It's got his name in there. It's already got my email signature in it. And of course, all I have to do now is just type some content, a subject, and maybe I've got some files I want to attach. Keep in mind this is the only place I can attach things that I want to send to people through TopBuilder. So this operates just like a normal email, and the magic is right here. Capture replies in history is already checked. So this is already working for me. When I send this email out, it's going to log. When he reads it, it's going to log. When he replies, it's going to log. So this makes it easy on you. You can use the little blue envelope, so anytime you see that next to an email address, use that. Or if I'm in a Manage Contacts screen, I have an email column. All I have to do is click an email address, and once again, I get that nice email pane that pops up, and all I got to do is just type in my content, capture replies, already set up. Now you asked about Outlook. So I can do this in Outlook. I do not have to come click this. I don't have to click the little blue envelope. I'm going to give you an email address. Definitely write this down or notate it somewhere. But as Dave mentioned, if you lose it, it is in the Help Center. The email address is capture history, one word, capture history at topbuildersolutions.net. So capture history at topbuildersolutions.net. If I open up Outlook right now and I type in an email address for someone that is in my TopBuilder Solutions system, and I put in either the to, the CC, or even the BCC field, right? Any of those three fields, so long as I put it in one of those, capture history at topbuildersolutions.net. When I send that email out, it is going to capture in the history for that customer. So I can still use the email integration outside of TopBuilder. I don't necessarily have to start it here. So I can just go into my Outlook and pop that in there, and I know it's going to work. In fact, if you have ever gotten emails from me, chances are, if you go and look in it in the CC field, I have captured history because I have become sort of, right, it's muscle memory, right? I go in and type an email and automatically I capture history. I find myself doing it for people who aren't even in TopBuilder. So definitely.
I just need to emphasize, I just want to emphasize how powerful this is for the agents, how important this is, and how so many systems do not have this ability. The fact that you can go into TopBuilder and send like you're sending through Outlook as easily as Don just demonstrated, or put that in a BCC field so that the capture history ends up going back and forth with all the emails that are done. I mean, that is a really, really powerful in your Outlook. I say whenever you can, go directly through TopBuilder Solutions, but if you can't, make sure that you get that capture history at topbuildersolutions.net in your email.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, and keep in mind, when you send an email out of TopBuilder, it looks just like a normal email. There's no big logos and stuff at the top of it, so it doesn't look much different than what it would look like if it came out of Outlook. So just keep that in mind. It's very easy to...
And the other really powerful thing, if you didn't catch it, is that you can see their opens. You can see opens on an individual email. Now, I can tell you that there's no other CRM company out there that I know of that tracks that on an individual email. So that is super important when you're going through and you're looking at the history of all of these people. If you're sending email after email after email and nothing's getting opened and you never see anything open, I mean, that's very powerful. And if you have their phone number, you can call them and say, are you receiving my emails? Because that could mean that it's going to junk or they're deleting it or whatever. But if you see they're opening those emails, then you know they're interested. So it's a really, really powerful tool that you just don't have unless you're using the system.
Definitely. Yeah, it definitely is. You know, once you start using this, you're going to love the fact that, yeah, you can see who is reading your emails. That comes in handy in a lot of cases, and it's nice because if I send out a lot of setup emails, I can go back and gauge who's, who is basically interested in getting things moving and who's not. So I can see who is reading and not reading my emails. And as she mentioned, it also might tell me if there's a problem. Right? If they never read my emails, I might be bouncing emails to them. They might have one of the world's most overactive spam filters, and everything's going to garbage or junk. So it's a good way that I know I need to reach out to them and maybe fix that, right? Have them add my TopBuilder or my email address to their acceptance. So, yeah, very important to use that. Let's go look at some tasks real quick. I said I wanted to throw out just a few best practices with the tasks. This is important because, of course, working your tasks means you are, in fact, working your leads. So I have all of these red past dues. As was mentioned earlier, if you're not getting on here working this thing on a regular basis, right, if you're just sending all those emails out but not coming in here and checking them off as done, well, one day you're going to log in and you're going to see the same thing I saw, which is all these past due tasks, and you're going to go, oh, my heart. Well, that's why we want to manage it on a daily basis. So, of course, it's super easy for me to just come in here now, and I can come in and say, well, that's done, and this is done, right? And I can click a few things. It's easy just to click done, but it's a bit of a trap sometimes because you shoot yourself in the foot if you don't put information in when you complete tasks. You know, chances are a task was important enough to give yourself something to do on it, but you also might want to put some notes with it. So, for instance, this particular task has me reach out to Mr. Holmes. When I reach out to Mr. Holmes, we probably do talk about something, and it would be easy for me to go and log that in history, but if it's specifically related to this task, let me show you something cool here. So I'm going to click on the task itself. I'm not just going to complete it. I'm going to go into the task. So now we see the nice exploded view of that task from Mr. Holmes. What's important here, though, is this description field. Not only can I put sort of a description of what needs to be done here, but once I'm in the middle of doing it, I can also come in here now, and I can stick in a date stamp for the date I'm calling, and I can put the notes from that call right here for this specific call. And let me show you why this is cool. And I may say this a few times here and sound like a bit of a broken record, but the description field is highly visible. So if I put my notes in here, and I come over here and I say complete because that phone call is done, well, now when I save and return, of course, I have one less past due task. But more importantly, you'll see that if I come into the history and I click on these histories, let me find where I did this here. All right, well, I've never done it. Oh, that last page. My apologies, I clicked a hyperlink there. I got a little click happy. All right. So, for instance, if I bring up Mr. Knowles here and I look at his history. So I went in and I typed in some notes into that description field, and I've done this for him as well. Here they are. So when I completed that reach out call, I put a time and date stamp in there, I put a date stamp, and I put my notes here. And I know that this description field is highly visible. So when I go back and look at my history, I can see the specific notes that worked for that specific phone call. It's not just a piece of history in there now. Now it is a piece of history with notes tied to a task I completed. That is a great way of using that description field. So that's how we use it here at TopBuilder as well. But that is a great little best practice to help you keep task-specific notes along with those tasks. All right, so I can just edit that task, go in and put those notes in that description field. And I know that they'll be saved forever. Now, another thing that you might have to do with your tasks here, we might not always necessarily do all of these tasks ourselves. Maybe we work in tandem with someone, or we have a person, maybe like an OSC or something, that we pass certain tasks off to. So if we need to do that, it's important to know, number one, when a lead is assigned to me, all of the tasks are assigned to me as well. If I have a person I work in tandem with, I may need to give a task to them. Let me show you how to do that real quick. It's pretty easy, but let's just go over here and, you know what? I like to filter by lead. I like to put them all in alphabetical order, so I can come over here and find my new ones easily. So here's Mr. Long that we were working with. I'm not going to be here to make this phone call, this second phone call. It is right on Christmas Day. I will be working, or I won't be working that day, but unfortunately, the guy who works with me, he's new enough, we make him work Christmas. So if I pull up this task that I need to give to him, there it is. It's super, super easy to just come over here and switch that assigned to, and now I know that when he logs in, he'll have this task. And of course, I hate just throwing things at people, so I might also come over here and put some notes for my partner. And of course, when they pull up the task, they'll see my notes in there. So I can even say in progress, because I've started it, and he's going to finish it. So that task will no longer be on my screen, I've just given it to him. And when he logs in, it'll be a task on his screen. So we can scoot tasks around to different people. And I can also move them out. It's not something you always want to do, but you know, if I'm telling myself I'm not going to do this until next year, for one reason or another, I can come into that task and I can move it. So I can change the due date all the way out to January 2nd, and now it's not a past due anymore. Now it's a fresh task, but more importantly, it is going to send me a new set of alerts. So if I have a standard alert, it's going to alert me when it's due, and it's also going to alert me when it's past due again. So that's a great way if I live and die by my alerts, and I need those alerts to tell me that I scooted that thing out again, I can have it send me a whole new set of alerts just by pushing it out into a future date. So keep that in mind. That is definitely an important one. Now, I know I went a little bit longer than my normal. I usually have this down to just about an hour. I want to open this up for questions now, because that's kind of CRM in a nutshell, how to manage everything, some best practices around it. If I forgot anything, if there's something you need me to go over again, or if you just have some general questions, go ahead, unmute yourself, and fire away.
Well, it's partly my fault you went long because I interjected. But there are some questions on here that Heather and Kathy have asked. So I want to make sure that we address those. I don't know if you saw them pop up.
Oh, you know what? They popped up below
So here's one of Heather's questions. It was, if a realtor becomes the primary, will the buyer no longer get newsletters?
Well, they will, because that buyer is technically also a contact in the system. And we know that our contacts are automatically on our newsletter. So even if I switch the primary off of their, you know, in this other case, Mr. Long would still be in the system as a contact, so he would still get my newsletters. He just wouldn't be listed as the primary on that lead anymore. That's the only difference there.
Okay. Another one that she asked is, will someone at Craftmark set up auto emails or will we need to create individually? Now, that's a good question as far as how Nick and Court and Ben, how you want to manage this, because there will be some standard emails that come with the system that TopBuilder has provided. Now, to edit all of those and modify those per community, is that going to be tasked to the agents, or how are you going to do that?
Court and Ben have excused themselves, so it's just me now.
Okay.
I would imagine that we probably let each community tailor them, but it's probably a discussion that we need to have with them.
Okay.
As you know, we don't really have internal resources to kind of, tailor it to each community. So.
Mm-hmm. And Don, what would your suggestion be as far as the types of things you guys provide and how customized they would need to be gone from the general stuff you provide to what would be specific to them?
It really just depends upon, like you said, whether you want to do them community specific or whatever the case may be. Now, when we load those plans, they are complete. So you know that when you go in there, all of the content's already in there, the emails are tied, all of the tasks are ready to go. It's just a matter of, on your side, going in and saying, maybe we don't do these specific tasks, or I want to turn this piece of automation into a manual task. That's the only manual stuff that you do on your end to make those plans work for you. And then, of course, on TopBuilder side, we're here for you, to kind of support you through that. We can do trainings and kind of line you up and show you how that works. Make sure those plans are set up so that they work for you and that they work the way that you need them to work.
Hey, Don, let me jump in here. Sorry, Leah, but Don, you weren't aware of this, and I should have given you a heads up. We provided Craftmark homes with the Quick Start plan, okay, the Quick Start package, and the Quick Start package, if you guys don't know who's on the phone, contains a whole library of follow-up plans and follow-up emails, and we have not completed the setup. Nick, myself, and potentially Leah and Don need to spend a little bit of time going through those plans and reviewing the emails, because they're not published yet. They won't go out until we've reviewed them, made the minor changes we need to make, and publish them. So they're not quite available yet for everybody, and we may need to have a quick little follow-up meeting to review those plans and how they work as a separate tag-along training session for Craftmark. I'll leave that up to Nick and Leah to decide, but I recommend it. We do have some cleanup to do with some of the data, and that's really kind of what we were going to discuss on the second half of this meeting, and we're actually almost out of time for that. But Nick, what are your thoughts?
We need, like you said, we need to go through that. I didn't get a chance, Dave, to go through the Quick Start list just yet. So I think that needs to be the first step, and then from there we can see what we need to allow people to tailor to the communities, or what, to make it on that.
Yeah, and maybe even generate content items out of those, like some example emails that they can call up and send, because like Leah said, we don't want to automate everything and have emails flying out like crazy that are not personalized. So we'll work. My team, including Don, will work with Nick and the Craftmark folks to get you guys some good example emails and some good follow-up plans and content ready. And then we also need to discuss how we want to pull leads over from the old CraftStar database that is still there. Last night I moved sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So Dave, if you want to kind of brief the sales agents that are here on that, I briefly talked to Dan about migrating that information over, and like I indicated last night, I don't think it's worth it to pull that data in. But if you want to kind of elaborate on that and see if anybody thinks that we do.
Yeah, sure. So we have the old craft, I shouldn't call it old. We have the Craft Star data, separate database that existed before you merged the company into one company called Craftmark. And it contains some opportunities in there, along with some of your old login IDs and uh, some history as well, of course. Now we've already taken all the realtors, the brokers out of the CraftStar database, migrated them over to the Craftmark database, and we skipped over any duplicates. So you have a clean database of realtors in the system right now. Um, and we've also taken the website contact form and redirected everything to your Craftmark login ID. So if you're getting leads coming in from the website, they're going to the right place, and that's been happening for a couple weeks at least now. So we've kind of migrated the logins, the communities, the contact form directs the leads to the new database, and the realtors are in the new database. It's really just a matter of what do we do with all those old leads and all the old history. And it's completely up to you, okay, as to what you want to do. And frankly, what we can do is we can keep those logins active, and you can log in and go in there and decide what you want and what you don't want, and then look up history or look up old leads or look. Again, it's up to you. We'll do whatever we need to do to support you. I'm just throwing out options. Okay.
So, Dave, it's really the three sales managers to my left in our conference sit next to me, Craftstar. So let me put the question out to them. Do you guys want anything from previous Craftstar? I know, Lou, you used it probably the most, back when we used it. Do you want any of that data?
I have agents.
Well, but like you said, all that stuff is migrated over to your new login, so I don't know if you really care about that. Any leads or contacts?
See the prospect data that you put in the TopBuilder, 2+ years ago.
Yeah, old.
So I don't know if you. Okay. I don't. So to agree with what I was saying, and Dan agrees. I don't think we need to worry about that right now. But keep it active, and if we eventually need to tap into it, maybe we can pull that.
Yes, it will not go away. We back up all our data multiple times a day, and we'll leave that account active. We will not delete it. It doesn't do us any good to delete the data. So it'll be there. And also, a lot of folks over the years, and I think Barbara was one of them, I can't remember exactly, had some email campaigns that you used to had sent out for open houses and grand openings and stuff like that. That's all there as well. And we'll make it accessible to you whenever you want. If you need our support in getting to some of it, just reach out and let us know. It's there. And I think you've made a good decision, to be honest. I didn't want to influence your decision, but one of the problems that we don't want to get into is a cluttered up dashboard with a bunch of irrelevant data and leads and tasks, and so it's probably good to start clean and then refer back to that data when we need to. So, but like I said, we're here to support you, and if you need us to do something, just please reach out and let us know.
Okay.
Hello,
One
I
more.
just have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so I've.
The short answer is absolutely.
Okay, good.
So I think that was Heather, right?
Heather.
So Heather, big surprise, you're not the first person that has that problem. Okay. So what I need from you is or Nick is an email to say I need you to clear out all non-completed tasks or outstanding tasks, and you might even tell me, look, I need you to do it, maybe effective anything that's older than December 1st or was due prior to December 1st. You tell me what you want, and we'll take care of it. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, absolutely, and we're glad to work with you, Heather. We've had a couple conversations, and I'm glad you're excited about getting that cleaned up and moving forward.
Heather, you can either send that directly to Dave or Don, or just send it to me and I'll forward it on to them.
Okay, no problem.
Definitely.
Can two agents share all contacts and tasks for same project location? So that's great for sites where there's two agents or there's an assistant and an agent. Is there a way to make sure that all tasks are visible to both people on there to take care of everything?
There is a way to make that happen. So let me start by saying, and I mentioned this when I was talking about those tasks. If a lead is assigned to me, I see all of the tasks on my screen automatically because, of course, they're assigned to me. Now I can reassign those tasks to that second person if I need them to do it specifically. But if I need them to see everything, they still can. So long as they have access to that lead, for instance, let's say it was Abel's that both of us are working on. If I go into that lead, so long as we both have access to it, I can see all the tasks here under the follow-up plan.
And that also happens when if you put a tag in there under communities, and there's two people that share that community, they'll see all the leads in that community, correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
So does that answer also your question right there, Kathy, that if you're sharing a community with someone and when you're entering that lead for the first time, that new lead, that walk-in that came in your door, you pick the community and then that will automatically share it with the other people within your community. Does that help?
Yep, she responded to that. Yep, thank you.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I'm setting her up because she's at a community with two sales agents. And then we have one other one right now that has two sales agents on it as well. So I've given Dave that information for those affected communities. So
I do have one question going back to when you initially add someone and you were talking about the short description. Do you create that short description, or does it pull information in like, what, because you said you like to put it by last name and then what they are. And if you're choosing lead type, like for your communities, you're probably going to have very few lead types to all the agents. You may have single family home, duplex, condo, that kind of thing. That's what a lead type would be, correct?
Correct.
So would you want that lead short description to be that person's name and like their lead type, or how would that work?
Well, and this is one of those things that I always tell people it's best to kind of think about this from how you want to run this in your system, but you can kind of standardize this however you want. So this isn't automatically generated. It is something that I have to create. Well, let me throw a caveat on that. If this is coming in from like a web form or an interface automatically, this will already be created. But if I'm building this lead fresh, then I'll need to create this short description. And so this is where it kind of, you kind of get together and you decide, this is how we want our short descriptions to work. With in our system, we put the name of the account or the builder and then our main contact next to it. You could have your own standard. The reason why I like those those last names first is because then I can filter by them and put them in alphabetical order. It comes in handy to have it like that, but you can make this however you want. So, like I said, sometimes I use a who and a where. Sometimes I use a what. It's whatever makes more sense to me, or makes more sense kind of in this at-a-glance model. I can look and I know I'm working for Major Industries and Mr. Bob White. But with WebLead, I don't know who I'm working with, and I don't know really what I'm doing other than this tells me I'm doing a spec house, right? Quick move-in. So, you definitely want to standardize and figure out what you're going to put in this, because anytime you do a new lead, that's that first blank box right there to fill in. But yeah, definitely put something there that makes sense to you. And I always say, since there's a lot of cooks in this kitchen, so if you have a lot of people in your account, you might say, hey, look, we all do our short descriptions this way, so that if I'm a sales manager or an admin who goes in and sees everybody's leads, I won't have a huge number of different
and I think that's something, Nick, that we need to standardize and make it very clear how the lead short description should be. And we can take a poll from the agents on what they feel would be helpful to them, and then come up with a standardized way to enter that so that people looking at data can look at it all very clearly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, Leah. I definitely agree. So I'll shoot out an email to everybody and kind of get their opinion and compile that, and then we'll make a decision on what to follow moving forward.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
I have a question for the agents that are all sitting in on this. I want to see how you guys feel about, I don't know how many of you guys already use the system and have been comfortable within it, and how many of you this is going to be a new thing for to really get into. So can you give me a little bit of a tally on that?
John, did you use TopBuilder?
Yes, I did.
Back when a couple of years ago?
A long time ago, yes. It's been a while.
A long time ago. I found it very detailed.
Got it.
And it was just like overbearing. I was wondering, can we, like for 1440, we have a cookbook?
I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat that loud enough?
Madeline's asking if there's like a training manual notebook for this, which we can address, but they're online as it started out. There's a bunch of different help topics and stuff like that. So
Yeah, but sometimes just having the book in front of you and just going to the table of contents, I think it was sometimes faster that way.
okay,
At least for me.
I can work with Dave.
Do you guys have anything? Do you have anything printed?
Nothing printed, no. Now, we do have the little getting started workshop I did. We do have a slide presentation that we can forward to you via email if you want something you can look at. It's most of it writing.
Sorry, Nick, I sent that to you this morning, by the way.
Yeah, the slides.
Yes, it's not my presentation, but it's Don's presentation on all the getting started.
Yep.
It's
Which
hard.
I'm going to send.
We would love to be able to do printed stuff, but we change the software and we enhance it so much. We spend more time keeping up with that than we would, supporting you guys.
I believe it. Yeah.
So
we
Leah,
can work through, Madeline. It's Madeline that asked that question, right? Madeline, we'll definitely work through like what your questions are and really get you comfortable with it. So even if there's not a manual to sit there and look at, between the help guides, TopBuilder Solutions, and us getting you guys online to be comfortable, we'll make sure you've got a comfort level with it.
Okay.
Elliot, I'll hop back to your question about agents that have used it. We've got 3 in here that have used it years ago, haven't been using it recently, and then 2 are basically new to it. So.
And I see Dee is new, Kathy is extremely excited, and Heather is comfortable with it. So that's good too. So that's good to hear. So my other question is then for you guys who are new to it and extremely excited, et cetera, how does it look as far as entering those walk-in leads? Because that's going to be so important in capturing the data. In the database, the only way that this works is if we capture every walk-in lead that you guys are getting so that we can run traffic reports so that we can see what's really going on. So the new requirement will be to capture every lead in that form. And even though it obviously took Don a long time to go through it because he was explaining it, I really see only about a minute or 2 really being spent at the end of your day entering those in, or right in lulls when people have come in. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Okay with that here? I mean, really, it's going to help us, in reporting and your traffic numbers and knowing where leads are coming from, where we're spending our money. That's what we're looking for here. That's what we get, yes, it's going to be a learning curve getting you on board here, but like Leah just said, I mean, it shouldn't take long to get the basic information in the system.
My assistant is very good with all his computer, and she can come today, so I want her this week to bring something so you can review it. I noticed it's Tuesday and Thursday, like starting at 11. Can they get it any time?
Don or Dave, you're training on Tuesday and Thursday. Is it a set time each?
Yeah, in fact, I just stuck that slide up on the screen. My Tuesday, Thursday level 2s are at 11 o'clock Central Time.
What about level 1?
And they can go as long as we need them to, honestly.
What about the level 1 registering for training? Madeline was asking, she has an assistant at her project that she would like to get familiarized with this. So
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock Central Time. I do these level 1s 3 times a week. So yeah, feel free to sign up for them. And we always tell people you can sign up as often as you like if you just need a refresher.
And everyone, just so you know, I'm going to send out all these slides that that Don and Dave had sent me, so you guys will have this information.
You know, Nick and everybody on the call, we failed to mention this because we just assume it these days. We don't have limits on your training and support. There, you can attend training, which we have live every single day for as long as you're a customer. So don't feel like you have to soak it all in the first time. Get what you need and then come back for more when you need it. We don't put limits on that. So we're available. Okay.
So how do you register, let's say, for level 1? I noticed you have the intimate training.level 2. Is there an email to register for level 1?
Do you just go to your website to get to that training, right?
Yeah, the recorded versions, if you go into TopBuilder, click the Help Center.
Go back to one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's back in where you sign in, guys. So you can get it there or from. Can you get the Help Center if you're not signed in?
No, no,
Right.
you can't. And so we're going to upload this recording and